6 o'clock, I went to mow grass on the embankment. At that time, it was also late at night. All the people went home, and as soon as they came out to the grass field, I saw a road with a trail of weeds as if someone was being pulled down. The above testimony discovered the male body in the territory of Hung Thin Village, born in Sun Duong District, Cheyenne Quang Province. This is an area for growing elephant grass along the banks of the Low River, far from residential areas. The time when the witness discovered the corpse was around 6:30 p.m. on May 30th, 2020. The principal where the crime took place. The place is very deserted. One side of the river is planted with elephant grass and is adjacent to the river bank, and on this side is the field area of the nearby households, and it is about 100 miles away from the residential area. To 200 m on this same road, there are very few people walking. As soon as we received the news from the commune police, we reported it to the director of the investigation and to the leaders of the department. With experienced detective investigators to the scene, we worked with the Sun Duong police to organize protection around the area for us to conduct drug testing. When the investigative force went to the scene, the most pitiful scene was the image of the victim lying in the middle of the elephant grass field. The elephant grass trees were too high to cover the eyes, so people even accidentally passing by were very difficult to detect. Swear from the person, the victim did not have any identification. The autopsy showed that the victim had a lot of wounds caused by sharp objects. The victim was identified. Had died about 20 to 30 hours earlier. Thus, at the time of the incident in about 20 p.m. on May 29, 2020, the subject stabbed the victim's right neck in the back, and during that process, there was a struggle between the victim and the perpetrator. The victim fell down the embankment and died in that position. The scene examination was carried out very carefully and meticulously. The investigative force had seized a number of traces and evidences such as, after, red-brown traces of blood suspected to be on the ground in a radius on the surface of some elephant grass, a red hat, red-brown stains on the back, 2 blue sandals, one on the slope dike and one close to the edge of the dike, along with some other evidence, traces such as blood and samples at the scene. The examination was determined to be the victim's, so the special case had a lot of difficulties from the beginning. When the incident happened at night, the scene was empty. Apparently, far from residential areas, there are no witnesses, no people know the work. At the scene there is not any trace to trace the object. The investigators will start solving the case with 0 clues. Right on the night of May 30th, many scouts were assigned to spread out in all directions to collect information about the incident. At the same time, an urgent thing to do is to identify the victim. The difficulty is that there is no document, nothing to prove. However, applying professional measures along with coordination with the grassroots police, because at present the scene is Cheyenne Commune born near many communes of Phu Tho Province, at this time we have also coordinated with the police. Phu Tho Province reviewed the relationships of the cases, to see if any members were missing. The urgent process before working was very quick. The investigating agency received information about the case. Mr. Nguyen Quoc Hui was born in 1981, lives in Quang Commune, Don Hung District, Phu Tho Province. His house is about 2 kilometers from the market. He has been away from home since the evening of May 29th, unable to contact him. Mr. Hui's family arrived at the scene. Identify and confirm that the unfortunate victim is Mr. Nguyen Quoc Hui. Working with Mr. Hui's family, investigators learned that Mr. Hui was a motorbike taxi driver. On the evening of May 29th, a man called Mr. Hui and asked him to come pick him up at the Dike Road, the area where the sand and gravel shack was taken care of. He left the house and lost contact from about 21 p.m. When the phone rang, my family turned on the speakerphone to listen. Inside the phone said that it was coming down to pick up the grandchild. Before going, there are 2 hats hanging on the motorbike, then sit on the motorbike and go down the Low River. Because according to information from the family, when leaving on Hui's house, he rides a wave motorbike. RSX has control of 19's 5,925 and one mobile phone. However, despite a thorough examination, the investigating agency did not find these properties of the victim. This reinforces the hypothesis placed out in the first place to make sure it was a robbery murder. Reconstructing all the relationships of the victim shows that he is a gentle person in the neighborhood, lives every day without conflict with anyone. He runs a motorbike taxi, so he also has many relationships from customers. But the family did not fully understand. Finding clues and then after checking and verifying the relationship of the victim did not bring any results. However, after calming down, analyzing and evaluating the entire the scene and identifying the nature of the case, the investigating agency determined that it was most likely that the perpetrator was a human. I live near this area, understand the topography of this place, so I choose this location, find a way to send the victim to commit the crime. A lot of professional measures have been launched to serve the investigation process and to reach out to the masses around the market area. Continue to urgently collect information related to the case. A task force conducts tracing the whereabouts of the mobile phone, the motorbike which is the property of the victim. The investigative agency also quickly named the suspects in Sam Thuong district and neighboring communes of Don Hung and Phu Ninh districts of Phu Tho province, after only a short time of working with Spirit. Most urgently, many scouts have gathered some very valuable information, that is, on the evening of May 29th. Some people on their way home from work claimed to have seen two men walking together. Motorcycles towards the People's Committee of Hong Lak Commune, Sun Duong District. Another source said that around 19 o'clock someone saw two men stop their car on the embankment, glimpsed the scene of them struggling. Summarizing sources reporting on and comparing the time Mr. Hui was out of the house provided by his family and the time when the witnesses saw the incident, on the case panel there was a basis to identify the guest Mr. Hui was carrying. May 29th was directly related to Mr. Hui's death. Besides the reconnaissance nose to collect information from the public, the task of naming objects in the area was also deployed in the most drastic way. With experience, I think this could be a subject with a lot of criminal records, an addict who has no money to spend and needs money to commit such a serious incident. At the border between Cheyenne Quang and Phu Tho provinces, the object of investigation is very wide, hundreds of objects including drug addicts and thieves, criminal objects in Phu Tho province, the Cheyenne Quang force. We are not sure when the special forces have located the object. Some of the subjects are suspected. These objects are often absent from the locality, so it is difficult to summon to fight. Clearly, by many professional methods, the investigating agency has eliminated the suspect and narrowed the suspect in a very short time, in which two notable names have emerged, Vu Nuquin and Vu Nuquin. Nguyen Tianzhong from Phu My Commune, Phu Ninh District, Phu Tho Province. Why are Vu Like Quin and Nguyen Tianzhong listed as the number one suspect in the case? Firstly, these two subjects are drug addicts. Secondly, both of them know Mr. Nguyen Quoc Hui, especially during the time when the investigating agency is searching for the culprit of the case. Both subjects were not present in the locality. The project committee continued to assign tasks to two working groups to conduct verification in parallel. About Vu Nuquin, the scout correctly verified the information on May 27th and 28th, that is, one day before the case happened. Quinn was often present near the victim's house, especially in the afternoon. On the evening of May 29th, some people also provided information that I have physical characteristics. The clothes of the man sitting behind have many similarities with Quinn. Parallel with the verification process about Quinn, one working knows. Other people also actively investigated Nguyen Tianzhong, who had a previous prison sentence for buying, selling and using illegal drugs. The relationship between friends is also very wide in many different localities. Although I have followed Zhang's relationships, at this time, there is no source of information providing Zhang currently going anywhere or doing anything.
There is no evidence that Jung is directly related to Mr. Hui's death. In the process of tracing the traces of these two objects, the reconnaissance team according to Quinn is grasping. Quinn is under Hanoi. By professional measures, the investigation agency identified Quinn's location and quickly tried Quinn to work. At the investigating agency, Quinn confirmed that he was not the culprit causing Mr. Nguyen Quoc's death. Hui. However, because Quinn had a lot of adverse information related to the victim, who was an addict in the area, had experience in dealing with investigative agencies, so the project committee directed, on the one hand the investigator had to fight, with Quinn on the other hand sent forces to quickly verify whether Quinn's testimony is true or not. The final report on the special case committee showed that May 29th was also the anniversary of Quinn's son's death and invited the neighbor came to celebrate the anniversary. Through independent examination of the witnesses, all confirmed that on May 29th, Quinn was at home, and so the special committee had a basis to exclude NHI subject Quinn. At the most dramatic moment of the discovery of this case, the special committee received two very important investigation results. The first is that Hui's family said that on the afternoon of May 29th, he had just left the house when he received a phone call. The investigating agency identified the caller. This is the phone number that Nguyen Tianzhong is using. This is the most suspicious base, and the second investigation result is also the information that is the turning point in the process of breaking the case. That is the result of checking the evidence of the case. Before that, the police have checked all the pawn shops, buy and sell used phones, repair shops, buy and sell old and new motorbikes in the whole area and collect all information from the people. Until the morning of May 31st, the police discovered an extremely good news. Precious. From the source it provided, it was discovered that a Facebook account Dukan was selling a motorcycle with similar characteristics to the evidence vehicle to a person named Nguyen Man Hung, born in 1983 in Phu Tho town in Phu Tho province. At this time, the task force was assigned the task of searching for the vehicle evidence, coordinated with the police of Phu Tho town to identify Mr. Nguyen Man Hung. By professional measures, the investigating agency has determined that the car is at Mr. Nguyen Man Hung's house. It is precisely Mr. Nguyen Quoc Hui's motorbike. The hero bought the car from a man named Vu Dukan in Lam Thao town, Phu Tho province. The man named Vu Dukan was immediately invited to the investigation agency to clarify information about the car. Khan said that he is a person who specializes in buying and selling used motorbikes. When he saw an acquaintance of his digging around here residing in Hung Vuong, Viet Tri City, Phu Tho province, and wanted to sell this car, he contacted me. Contact to buy and resell to Mr. Hugh for the purpose of making a profit. So who is Hugh? More information about Hugh is the key to decipher this project. From Vu Dukan's testimony, the investigating agency has verified that Deo around Hugh is the owner of a used motorcycle shop. Used in Viet Tri City, working process with the investigative agency, Mr. Hugh provided information. On the morning of May 30th, a young man driving a red and black Honda Wave RSX motorcycle with control plate 19/15925 came to the shop, and it was his car. I was in need of money, so I asked him to sell it urgently to take care of my family. The car seller left his identity papers and the name Nguyen Tien Dat. Especially the most important evidence that Mr. Hugh provided to the regulatory agency. That investigation is the camera data at Mr. Hugh's shop that recorded the image of the subject who came to sell the car, compared the camera image with the identification image of Nguyen Tianzhong, the number one suspect in the case up to date. At this point, the answer is completely coincidental. Thus, the rays of light in the investigation process have gradually revealed. But the difficult problem for the investigating agency at this time is, where is Nguyen Tianzhong currently hiding? I also directly called to discuss with comrades, leaders of professional departments of the Ministry of Public Security, leaders of police at neighboring units to propose cooperation. However, the subject is drug addicts who can many criminal records, do not have a fixed residence, live wandering and have a complicated relationship, constantly moving through areas to evade the police, making it difficult for us in the process of tracing the suspect. Object process. We found that this subject has a lot of relationships in Viet Tri. The information that Viet Tri police provided in Viet Tri is determined that this object is in time. After the case happened, the subject was present in Viet Tri City. However, when we got to Viet Tri City, We met the clues that we verified, and it was determined that the subject had left. The search for the object in Viet Tri had no results. The case department continued to use professional methods, and it was widely examined in many northern provinces and cities, but some suspicious relationships of Zhang's family emerged. Quang Mai District, Hanoi. Do not miss a moment. The scouts immediately set off to Hanoi to check the entire area and the relationships of the object in the area of Quang Mai District. However, an unexpected situation occurred when the task group had just determined the location of the subject in the area of Quang Mai District. He suddenly moved towards Mai Dinh bus station. Cheyenne Quang Provincial Police cooperated with the Criminal Police Department and Hanoi Police to conduct a review of the entire Mai Dinh bus station area in the fastest time. Quickly, the working group discovered the object. Nguyen Tien Sang is walking around near the bus station gate. The noses for the assigned task quickly approached and controlled the subject. After catching and arresting the safe object, Nguyen Tien Zhang was sent to the Cheyenne Quang Province Police Investigation Agency to work. At first, the subject showed carelessness and did not cooperate when the investigators took statements from the subjects, thinking that when the subject committed the crime, there were no witnesses. No one witnessed. However, my brothers and sisters are investigators involved in investigating and discovering many cases, and we ourselves also researched a lot about the psychology of the subject, but you also flexibly applied your skills. The art of questioning and giving evidence, which are what they have gathered, from everything about the image of the person selling the car, the subject leaving information, to the phone number the subject uses, and this happened the subject of the crime. Be present near the site area. On that basis, the subject must also confess to the crime. Before the sharp evidence, Nguyen Tien Zhang could not deny the crime. He said on May 29th, he had no money to buy drugs, so he thought of tricking Mr. Nguyen Quoc Hui, whom he had hired to drive a motorbike taxi to an isolated area, to kill and rob property to buy money for drugs. Zhang called Mr. Hui to pick him up at 1950, when Mr. Hui was driving a red and black Honda Wave RSX motorcycle. The control point 19's 15,925 came to pick him up. Zhang told Hui to go to the Dike Road in Hung Thinh Commune where he was born, then told him to stop with the excuse of waiting for someone to bring him. The map came, actually looking for an opportunity to kill him. After seeing Hui sitting in the car without any warning, Zhang used sis to stab him in the neck area. The two sides struggled, fell. Then Wai continued to use scissors to stab Mr. Hui many times until he saw no reaction. In the morning of May 30th, 2020, Zhang sold Hui's motorbike to dig around Huan Gia Kem Ward, Viet Tri City, Phu Tho Province. The murderer was so numerous that he even left his identity papers. I can't believe it. All the pictures of the sale of the car that the store's camera records are strong evidence to denounce his crimes. On the 2nd of the month June 2020, the Investigation Police Agency of Cheyenne Quang Province has issued a decision to prosecute the accused against Nguyen Tien Zhang for the act of murder and robbery. In addition to the success of this project, in addition to the first stage of the scene examination, we have coordinated with the Provincial Police's Criminal Technical Department with the Chuang Duong Police to verify and clarify the scene, and one more. That is, the review of the object and the evidence of the case has a good relationship with the police of Phu Tho Province. In the process of tracking the object, the timely help of the professional departments, it can be said that this is a difficult project to track down the object, because there is no witness. It is a bordering area between Cheyenne Quang and Phu Tho provinces, but with the highest determination to drastically implement the instructions given by the superiors, along with each block of enthusiastic support from professional units, in less than 72 hours. Now, the Criminal Department of Cheyenne Quang Province's Police Department has successfully investigated and discovered the case, arrested the perpetrator and returned peace to the lives of the people here.